because like the poetry once said, that where dwells the bearer of the rod of power, which is now the rod of purity, wherever such a person dwells, there are always, forces that emanate from him, and they affect the whole environment, affect all the life levels, and right down to this level. And we have upheavals and all kinds of things happening, you know. So, as you just said, I wanted you to talk about, uh, the California earthquakes. Are they linked to the power of the real universes that are swelling around you? So you already anticipated this. And still have to ask you, Duane, maybe throw more light on it.
Yeah, let me redefine some of this too and help everybody out here.
Yeah, Logan.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. Again, people refer to the rod of power, which I understand. And Paul created this position, and that's what it was for that time. It was something, kind of like a fire engine coming in, a rescue unit. Yes, we're here to rescue you. Okay, so we went through this, and we rescue people at that time, and we bring them up to speed, you might say, certain people that they themselves will go out and relate to other people. So it's not easy to get the whole earth together to rescue because they're not paying attention. So certain people that are paying attention from the real side first are rescued, and it was a power position. Now, power only exists in it's actually a control manipulation factor, and we need that sometimes. In other words, yeah, it's like a person drowning in the water. The lifeguard comes out and drags them to shore. That's controlling the situation. That's manipulating it. Okay, sometimes you have to do that, and we're all taken through that. I was too, and all these situations. That is the power position that you see in creation. That's as far as it goes. Now, so I went through that cycle when the boys gave me the rod of power. Revisor Paul and the real guys gave me the rod of power 2001 on the night of August 3rd. And so, but then I went through everything that I went through up until August 3rd, 2007. So boy, did I go through boot camp, more than you can even imagine, uh, to get to that point. And then from there, I could see it was a new position. It was not the same. Because at first I was shown to share the is. And I'd always focused on this in my own way, but it became more defined in 2001. Well, then in '07, I saw that it was the all is. All of a sudden, this came in. Nothing was told to me. I would see this, and it's invisible. And so the rod of power idea went on its way. It is a reality all its own, but it is not the new wave is. At first, I used the idea as a transition, but actually, it's not at all. And so, yes, the rod of power does exist, and I'm not going to go into that, but it is only in creation. The new wave is the isness life is. It is the all aliveness. It is the real awareness of everything. That's what it is. There's no power. There's no control. There's no manipulation. Again, like the sun shining. You see, you don't see any of that. There's no ideas there. There's no belief. There's no happiness. There's none of that. Uh, it's an endless silence is what it is. And then from that is produced, you might say, whatever life is. And this is to be recognized. So I see this as very, very exceptional. And so when people still cling to the rod of power idea, I just use this as a transition, or the rod of power, purity, or the real rod of power, etc. I use this as a transition for people, but actually it's none of those. And so it's better. It's just clean. It is your real awareness. And so as you start, as each person that has come this far and can know something, starts to focus, starts to pay attention to how this is now, it's so much better. No more crutches. You don't need that. See, the rod of power idea is that, well, okay, so Duane or the boys, whatever, they have this power and they can do anything. Well, they can, but they don't do that. A lot of people come to this and other things, and Paul warned about it too, the psychic sciences. They want some kind of aspect of that power. That's what Joni wanted. That's why she took over. She thought Harold had the rod of power. He don't even know what it is. Darwin and Harold, they didn't know what it is. To them, it was something personal, some kind of esteem or platform, like the Queen of England or the President of the United States. It was some notoriety to them, etc., and not a real recognition. Me, I've never chased any of those things like that. I didn't want that or the psychic sciences or to do any of those things. I don't focus on any of that, because just like the air you breathe and the sun shining, why do you need it? Because there's just more to see and be. It's this beingness. So the new wave is the rod of power exists, and there is a relationship there for what it is in creation. Okay, but I don't relate to that anymore. I did at one time, and it's in a particular position, and it does reinforce many of the things we're doing, just like the electricity in your wall, etc. But I don't use that for anything unless I'm going to plug in my toaster. But so for the most part, that becomes the difference. And again, people are looking to that aspect because, well, it's like a soldier that's been through boot camp, and after he's been out there in the wilderness or whatever, all of a sudden wants to go back to boot camp. Does that make sense? Or you want to go back to high school once you've been through it? I sure don't. I couldn't wait to get out and just quit the silly stuff of all this. Just get through it, get to a real position. So the new wave is clean. There's no power, because the real universe is, there's no power. It's an endless all aliveness that you recognize and you see and be in, and it's all here now. This is what I've decided for creation. When Paul was here and Rebazar and the guides and all this process, that was not decided at that time. Now it is. This is the real universal position that I refer to, that I hint at, but you've got to see it. You've got to learn to see it. You've got to learn to step up and be the risk taker with it. So the rod of power idea is the old idea, and those that, if it's Harry or Alan with Varden Carr or Roger Hinkins or whoever else refers to that, that's because they're into control and manipulating others. I don't refer to power in any way, because again, that's not my focus. My focus is being to being. And this is where I created the idea of free being of real light, not just some little astral being with knowledge that has a little light, a little glow around you like the fairies do, which is cute. That's fine if that's what you want to be. You want to be a fairy or a mermaid or something like that. That's fine. Each one of us makes our choice. I've made my choice. This is what I present. This is why the guides chose me, etc. I know I'm a little stubborn and this and that at times, but I'm very focused on this that it be very real and very sincerely keep it, clean as it can here, But there's the dark brats, the cabal, whatever. You call them God, they're going to throw all kinds of stuff at people, and they're going to pick on them. And we are so subliminally bombarded with harp and everything else constantly. And this is what people don't recognize either, is all this subliminal stuff. And I see it as heavy, and I don't like it myself, and I get agitated by it too. I get a little snappy at times because this is not what I want things to be. But little by little, it's like drudging through the swamp. We're getting to a real position, and those that do pay attention will see it on the real side. So the new wave is clean. The reality of it is clean. Here in creation, well, that's something else. We have to deal with things, and I'm not looking for a perfect life here. That's not it. But bringing this reality to a real position here of recognition, to where it's never been available before, is my adventure. And this is what I see. So there's the difference, Charles. So as people relate to the rod of power, it's just simply control. They can have it, but all they have is the idea. The reality of it is a sustaining position, kind of like a powerhouse that, gives you electricity to your houses. Yes, it has its position, but it cannot be utilized for anything that interrupts people's free will. That's not the idea of it at all. So again, there's a little brief explanation. Charles, go ahead.
And it would appear that some of these clarifications should be made at the very entry point to the new presentation. Because in this way, people will not have false hopes, many things that just exist in you, speaking of their imagination, not exactly how life operates. Okay, you say in that post, by doing the new sessions are not a technique to get something like a job or money or a relationship. Singing Know You is a real start becoming more aware. So, by doing so, the personal self can get what you need to survive here and your real new awareness for yourself. The bigger new adventure and the true reality of the new you is to learn to see and be and free yourself from all restrictions and authority. Creation and uh, creation and recognize the real you as a free being of real light in endless universes of the true reality light is, the all is. In creation, what you have experienced is mainly with your mind and emotions. Singing the new you enables you, the personal pronoun, and you to see beyond creation into the real universes of real freedom, where you no longer need any of the little pieces that you have created for lifetimes, that you have depended upon. Real freedom and no restrictions. So, then do you think at the root cause of this, some of this misunderstanding among so many new friends, especially maybe Africans, do you think that the misunderstanding stems from the fact that this was not well specified from the beginning? So they developed false hopes. And what do you think about the concept of the all is? Well, the new song emanates from the oldies, and the new song by inference can do all and even fix all the messes, the deficiencies in one's life. That is how some people may think.
You brought up the idea of false hope. Again, this is how people have been taught. If well, in the United States, but I don't know around the world, but it's been used many times. When Obama ran for president, as example, the later ones here, Trump and whatever, they're funny in their own way. Okay, make America great again. Okay, it's really make America worse again. But again, everybody decides. Obama used change and hope. Those were on his billboards, big. And people have been taught hope. Hope is, like I've said, belief, faith, basically the idea of belief. And these ideas are nowhere. They go nowhere. They sound good. They're cute. They're comfortable. Oh, I have hope. Oh, I believe. Oh, I have faith. Oh, I trust. All these things. I don't even use the word trust because it sounds kind of funny, like the old idea, trust me, etc. Well, in difficult situations, like when Arnold's dealing with the predators, well, again, yeah, well, you got to trust him because he's a little bit smarter than everybody else. So, yeah, that's a particular situation. But realistically, it's not about any of those things. It's not, as I look to life or the guides or whatever, or the boys, it's not the idea of trust for me. It's isness. It is what it is, and just being real. That's all. Just making sense of things and just simply being real, and do with your awareness what you know to do. Yes, figure that out. How to do. When you figure out how to do something, it's like a trade that you learn. After a while, you figure out how to do it, and you just do it, right? Well, it's like that. And this is where we rehearse these things. And so, this hope idea has been marketed to people. Belief in hope has been marketed. There's a place called the City of Hope for it's a children's hospital or something like that, etc. So this is marketed to people. And the interesting thing is that it's applied to where people are sick, ill, or dying. In other words, it's stuck to these things to where, we hope this, we hope that, etc. Instead of seeing and being, learning to focus there and getting beyond these things. But at the same time, while you're in creation, yes, you deal with it. You deal with this while you become more aware. This is the idea of creation. This is the real idea, not what we've experienced so far as we've grown up. All this stuff we've had to deal with is distortion. This is where I'm very focused with the real guides to provide a real position, and we're doing it from the real side, but it's going to go in steps. So there's still going to be some funny stuff coming because we have to go through the process here because of how civilization has agreed and created itself and has agreed to the creations of others and themselves. So it's learning to see all of this. So false hope is a fallacy. Just like so many things in this world that people cling to these ideas. Again, instead of reading the new books as an example, lucky they're here, and doing the new use sessions. See, this is where also with the new use sessions, uh, there's no focusing on the chakras. There's no focusing on the so-called spiritual eye and the crown chakra and all these things. Okay, well, that's cute. These things, occupy themselves as they do anyhow. It's kind of like when you're eating. Do you decide where every little molecule goes in your body and is how it's distributed? Do you sit there and think that and go over that? No, the body does what it does. So when you're doing the new use sessions, the body, the other bodies, the chakras, whatever, they're just going to do their thing because that's how it's set up. You already got it set up. So these things are self-limiting, and this is where even when Rebazar taught Paul, when he brought him in, he said, well, we're not going to go through the chakras. We're going to start off at the third eye or the crown chakra. Well, now the new wave is the new U session because it applies to the real universes and not the different parts of creation. Okay, I don't apply it to that. I just see the whole, and that is that when you do the new you session, it's not that you're looking to get something. Okay, that's not the idea. That's the old idea where you sit in meditation or whatever, or you want peace or all these things. Well, again, these things are going to apply anyhow. It's like the old saying, it goes without saying. It's a given. It's already there because life is a completeness. Again, this is the best part. And at the same time, yes, you don't have to be concerned about the little self because it's going to still have its funny stuff, and you're still going to go through your routines and have your mind and emotions, and you're going to go chase your thrills and whatever in the personal realm. Yeah, that's a given. This is your real awareness. But see, now as you become more aware, you decide, okay, you decide what your life is going to be. This is kind of the tricky part, but you decide that. So again, yes, most of the world is, they live for hope. They hope everything will get better. But in the meantime, they're rapidly destroying the environment that they're living in. But at the same time, they're hoping it'll get better. And they're hoping Jesus will come and, oh my gosh, I hope it's true. I hope there's a God. Yeah, it's all hope. Well, again, the deceptors that rule the systems, mainly political, but it's really religious. That blankets everything. Everything is created from the sacrificial religions because it's this God idea, this power God idea, this control factor that it all comes from. It's very devious and deceptive, and it doesn't have to be that way. Do birds deceive each other? They don't do that. But people do because they have the means more so than most of the other embodiments, but at the same time, they have to deal with their free will, which they don't know how to deal with realistically because of how they've agreed to be indoctrinated and limited and restricted. And now trying to get to people and let them know that there is more, well, they still want to hang on to the restrictions. So they hope everything will be okay. So they use all the idea too of, like you just said, Charles, false hope. And again, there's no such thing. These are a play on ideas, and this is where people's focus is. And it's really kind of pathetic, and that's really what it is, because people they just grow old and crippled and bent over because of these ideas, because they look to these ideas. And then all they got left is, well, I believe in God or I believe in something else, so I'll be fine. Well, fine, you've made your choice. But it can be better than that. And the adventure here is taking something on that, I'm not here to clean up the world. That's not it. That's an awful job. But to try and create something that makes sense to get people's focus about the natural environment so they can, you might say, progress with their understanding of a bigger picture than just this personal struggling picture, always looking for comfort and hoping things will get better. There's no such thing. Life is an isness. Now you know that. You work from that position. In other words, you stand real. In other words, not work. The old saying is co-worker with God. Well, that sounds like real drudgery, okay? And do what? Just keep working, okay? So standing real is a real position, and it's effortless, and it's awesome. And so as this is implemented, eventually it becomes the individual's reality. But it's a huge step because it's not going to take a couple weeks or a month or a year. It could take 10,000 years. It could take 1,000,000 years. What does it matter? What does time matter? Because again, learn to see the end result. It's an isness. And so as we apply this to the world, all right, it at least has a chance to see something more. And it's scary for people. This is really scary. I went through a lot of people, and even in my personal life, it scares them. Well, okay, I just let them be, but I'm going to do it anyhow. And they don't understand, and they don't want to understand. This is how it is. So again, it's always a real risk taker position, and this is just how life is. So yes, the hope idea and anything that relates to that, it's worthless. Hope, belief, and faith, those are the three. Those are the three marketing ploys that are huge in this world, that have deceived people the most, and they're still hanging on to them, and they have no value at all. Isness, that's real.